Hey, what's up? It's Emilio Despirito, and this is the Wealth Architect Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you each and every single week. My team and I have hand-selected our guests to come on the program to talk about how to build wealth financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, right? There's so much that goes into building a lifestyle full of wealth, and we hope that this content really reaches you, not only in your brain, but in your heart, and that you could do something with this. So thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you, and we're going to have a great show. Hey, a special thank you to our sponsor, Annie Mac Home Mortgage, whose Cash to Keys product is disrupting the industry. Sick and tired of finding the perfect home, not having your offer selected? I got to tell you, it happens all the time. With Cash to Keys, Annie Mac gives sellers a cash guarantee for each of their buyers' offers. Stop bidding and hoping. Instead, bid with Annie Mac and bid with confidence. Don't just bid, but win. Annie Mac Mortgage. Do you currently own an abundance of multifamily properties? Are you tired of working with property management companies that just continue to drop the ball and disappoint you? Why don't you start your own franchise? Go ahead and contact our friends at Nexus Property Management to see how their proprietary information and systems and marketing can work for you. The success that they have had all over the country is unbelievable. Check them out, Nexus Property Management, and go ahead and let them know you heard it here on The Wealth Architect. Welcome to the Wealth Architect Podcast, where we delve into the minds of visionaries shaping the future of wealth and investment. Today, we're joined by Dana Dunford, the innovative CEO and co-founder of Hemlane. Dana's journey from finance and mathematics to disrupting the property management industry is a testament to the power of combining analytical prowess with entrepreneurial spirit. Through Hemlane, she's providing landlords with the tools to manage their properties with unprecedented ease and efficiency. Dana, I'm so excited to have you on. Welcome.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So this is exciting to me, right? Because I also own multiple properties. I do have a property manager in place, but Dana, you also know that I help people buy and sell real estate all over the globe, and some of my clients want to handle it themselves. So this technology allows them to do that, but with ease and efficiency. So I'm excited to dive into some questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I know you are. I know you are. You might be questioning if I'm ready because what our listeners didn't hear is right before this, like I literally did like 3 takes on the intro, but that's where it's at, right? We want to make sure that this sounds great and polished for you, and that's what we're doing here. It's all about the behind the scenes stuff to make it feel great, right? But we also like some real and uncut, so we put some of this in there too. But anyways, so from finance to prop tech, I want to talk a little bit about your background. How did your background in finance and applied mathematics influence your decision to venture into property management technology?
Yeah, I think for an entrepreneur, there's two different types of entrepreneurs out there. There's ones who go out and actively say, I'm going to find some market and then innovate and disrupt it and
Hmm.
disrupt in like a positive way. Those are like, Marco who started Thumbtack. He wasn't a handyman or a party planner. He just had this idea of let's have this app out there. Mine was slightly different and my journey was slightly different. So I was at Apple working on worldwide financial planning and analysis.
Hmm.
And that was finance team launching new products. So new innovative products. This was back, I'm dating myself, but this was back like when the iPad was first getting launched, if you can believe it.
Okay.
And the reason that I bring that up and what I was doing there is one, I'm a workaholic, so I'd work all the time, which means I didn't spend
Same.
money.
Yep.
And because I didn't spend money, I had money that I could invest. And so my older sister was the one who started, her and her husband started with real estate investing and said, you should go out and buy, it's 2009, you should go buy a ton of properties with us. But the kind of pushback on it that we learned of every time you bought a property, it was more tenant headaches. Tenants
Mm.
hate their property manager, they hate their landlord, vice versa. The communication's terrible. It's sort of
Hmm.
like the taxi industry before Uber came out. And so really the question was like, how do you promote and foster a level of professionalism everyone's aligned. It's a great experience for the tenant. It's a great experience for the owner or manager, and everything can be just done from your pocket. So that was kind of the vision of it, of like, you can go to Mars, you can manage your property.
Yeah.
Of course, going there and actually starting a company, I also knew, being in tech. I mean, I had the business and real estate background and a background of launching products at tech innovative companies. I
Hmm.
wasn't an engineer. And so without the right team, like without the right co-founder who was incredibly smart and one of the best engineers out there, without someone like Frank, I couldn't have done it. So I think like part of starting a company in your background is your idea, but I think ideas are cheap. What's going to happen is it's going to be all about the team.
That's right. I couldn't have said that better. And it's so true. You can't just dive into a business like yours and just wing it. Like you have to have that experience. You have to have that background, which is one of the reasons, or many of the reasons, why I wanted you to come on this podcast, because it really, truly is something that has helped a lot of people. And that's going to continue to help a lot of people have a better time managing their properties. And you know what? Time is money. And I know it's a bit cliche, but it's a fact. And you know what? I don't care how much something costs me if it's going to give me my time back and it's
Mhm.
actually going to help me make more money on the other end. That's an investment. So let's talk into some challenges that you have along here. Like, what specific challenges in property management inspired the creation of Hemlane? Like, what are people going up against? What are landlords going up against that Hemlane can solve?
Yeah, so there were a couple of things that we noticed, and I'll give you some just industry trends, right? So the first is 72% of rental properties are self managed.
Hmm.
So they are not using a property manager. And the real question was why? There's no landlord who's like, I love managing my property every day. So why are they not partnering with a property manager? Um, it was cost and transparency. And I think cost, to your point, you can actually deal with value. But it was
Hmm.
the transparency of all of these systems that were built for traditional property managers actually make everything untransparent to the real estate investor
Can you
themselves.
give us an example of that?
Yeah, so if you look at any property management software that a property manager uses, and actually, Emilio, you probably have a perfect example from yours. They send you an owner statement once a month.
Sure do. Yeah.
You don't have real-time data where you can log in and see how many people inquired about your property. What is the average days on market that we're expecting to get it off? There's no sort of, hey, we've got your back. And so what the second thing that I noticed was property management was the second lowest rated industry on Angie's, which we used to be called Angie List.
Yeah.
Second to home warranty. So home warranty was the lowest rated. Property management was the second. And a lot of it actually had to do with that transparency. If something went wrong, the property manager got blamed. And it wasn't like, okay, we saw this coming, or hey, we accepted a tenant we probably never should have. It was a higher risk, we knew this was coming. And how do you mitigate that, and how do you have the technology connect people? That was really interesting and fascinating to me. And so I say, if you take a big industry, this is a $50 billion industry, just residential real estate. I'm not talking
Wow.
about commercial even yet, which I can get to later. But it's a huge industry coupled with a lot of antiquated ways of doing things. And when you always asked why, no one could answer why. Every property manager would just tell me it's because this has always been done this way.
I hate
And
that answer.
so, yeah. And so for us, it was cool because it was like, great, we can work with local partners. We can work with property managers. We can work with owners who actually see a better vision, better something based on success of how things are performing. And so anyway, that was what was most exciting to us.
That's super exciting. And again, that answer, that's just how things have always been done. Like, talk about the complete opposite of moving forward. Like you cannot operate like that. You're going to get so far left behind, especially with the advancements in technology and AI. And just, you know what? I find that all of the advancements right now in technology are making the better professionals rise. The cream is rising to the top. And I think that's going to continue as in all industries, we're getting disrupted. And we really need to be showing our value and connecting with consumers where they are at today, not where they were yesterday, where they're at today and what they need. So that's huge. And the other thing that's huge about that is actually having a care for your clients and really putting them first. And I see that happen so many times the opposite way of what it should.
Mhm.
Um, and that just really totally grinds my gears. It really does. Let's
Yeah.
talk about your platform versus point solution. So you chose to build a comprehensive platform for the start rather than focused on a point solution. What were the advantages and challenges of this approach?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I think is interesting is if I had built it again, I would have built it differently. Like in
Okay.
hindsight 2020, I would have built it slightly differently. It would have gone to the same point we're at today, but I would have done it slightly. I would have launched faster with single point solutions and then combined them together. So maybe just, hey, we're the best company to advertise your rental property everywhere. Great. Now we do the application. Now we do the background and credit check instead of building like the skateboard, then the scooter, then
Mm.
the motorcycle, then the car, then the semi
You
truck.
got to walk before you run, Dana. You're
Yeah.
fine. You're good.
Instead, we tried to build the semi truck. We were like, we are going to just build it all at once. And so in hindsight, that slightly different. I would have done it. So if you build a single point solution, let's just say you're the best company at background and credit checks, or you're the best company at self guided tours,
Yeah.
you have to go enterprise. So you have to go to institutional investors because the dollar value you make per unit is so low because you're just doing one thing
Hmm.
that you can't go to mass market. If I talk to institutional investors or any of these large apartment operators, they actually don't have that many problems managing their properties. They have a 24/7 team. They've built a lot of things in house. They have systems, workflows, everything set up, and a ton of capital to do it. If you
Hmm.
look at those who are actually struggling with their management, it's like the small mom and pop who's trying to do it themselves, not quite sure what to do. Shoot, I should probably just sell the property because this is too much work. It was like that's mass market. That's 70. Well, there's 19 million landlords, and about 13 million of them are this target market. So it was like, why don't we focus on those people who have the biggest need rather than go enterprise? If I wanted to go enterprise and go to the REITs, I would have just built a single point solution.
Yeah. Plus I think it's much more fun working with the type of clientele that you have, right? Because it's like with the REITs, it's all just business. It's all just like
Yeah.
boom, here you go, the real estate investment trust. It's all just that's it. But with these people, they're everyday folks, like living that American dream, like fighting to buy real estate, to manage it, just to go through it. And like I just like connecting with everyday people. Tell me a little bit about your target market, right? So your landlords, like how many doors do they own on average? Do you have any data like that? Like
Yeah.
who is that target for Hemlane?
Yeah, so our average is 8 rental properties. Our median is 6. So there's a lot more people who skew to the lower end. However, what I would say is some of our strong like property management partners on the ground or some of these larger operators, you'll pick up someone who has 300 properties, 400 properties. So it's interesting because I always say design is way more important than I ever thought. So, design, you need the really, really good design team at your company to make all these, and make a really complex process be a click of a button, a single click of a button. But with that, when you start thinking about who we service, it's like majority of people need, if you think of Excel,
Yes.
most people know how to do 1 + 1 = 2.
Hmm.
But then someone like me can use it for regression modeling and really sophisticated. Back in the day when I used to do a lot of applied mathematics stuff, you would use it for things that were so much more complex. But the average user doesn't need that. And so how we built it was, hey, you can start with one property. My favorite customers have been those who've started with one property and are now at 100. Their life has materially changed absolutely changed so much. And by properties, I mean rental doors. So it's usually in a couple of apartment complexes. And what's really cool to see about that is they start with Hemlane. They kind of get this, what I call the gateway drug, to be like, ooh, real estate investing is easy.
Yeah.
They go and they purchase more properties and then they can scale with us. And then we have small little gear buttons that are like enterprise settings for them to set up things that they need to for each one of their properties. And so that's been really exciting to do, is like build more of those features for users to grow with us without making it too overly complicated for the person who has one or two rentals.
Wow, I love that. And I totally understand the bug, right? Because we have clients that get this bug, and it starts with their first purchase. Even if they're purchasing a condo or a single family, I always tell all of our advisors, I say, hey, listen, I say, teach your clients how to invest in real estate, how to build wealth. And you plant the bug and you tell them, hey, you can scale up. You can make millions for retirement. You can make passive income. You could do this or that. Now,
Mhm.
this just gives us another piece of the puzzle we could put in there to make it easy for them. But once somebody buys one, then they want to buy more. And I mean, I've got a client, he scaled up, he has 154 doors.
Mhm.
And literally 10 years ago, he had one four family he bought with an FHA mortgage that he
Yeah.
lived in. So that's exciting. That excites me too. Let's talk about, how does Hemlane cater to both hands-on landlords and those seeking more of a passive investment approach?
Yeah. Well, so a couple of things. One, I think if anyone's thinking about starting a company or how to build a company, if you look at a digital disruption curve, you never stop at the top. You never start at the top. So
Hmm.
we didn't start, like right now, we have property management partners who are vetted by us for those who want more full service, someone on the ground who's licensed and operating in that region. But we didn't start there. We started with the person who had very um kind of little to lose, in the sense of like, hey, I do all this myself, let me give it a chance, and started just automating them out of every job. And then we
Hmm.
slowly moved up the disruption curve by saying, great, now we can do your repair coordination, now we can go ahead and help with mediation with evictions and past due rent. And then we just continued to move up and add more products that would get you closer to full service. Then what was cool about it is, instead of going to a brokerage on the ground and saying, hey, you're going to have to do everything, and we're the software provider, we basically would say, hey, we can do 90%, and we just need the 10% that you do to build the relationships with these owners and be there for what they need and manage the account. And then suddenly it was something so different and so new to a brokerage versus, and then when the owners come to us, we say, great, what do you want? I want to self manage this property and I want full service for this. Okay, great. Here's a package for your full service property. Here's a package for the one that you're going to self manage. And we were able to provide this entire platform where you could manage your property no matter where you are in that journey. Because always people say, well, is Hemlane right for me? And what package is right for me? And
Hmm.
it's like, well, I don't know. I need to know more about you. How much do you work? What is your personal life like? Do you have three kids under three? You probably need something more full service. And
That's
so
right.
asking all of those questions really helps get you to what is right for you.
Nice. So when you're working with a real estate brokerage, you mentioned, and then they can have their clients tie into the software, is there a cost for that real estate brokerage to bring this to their local marketplace?
No. So we, unlike, because it's not really like a franchise model, we don't charge them any onboarding fees. We
Hmm.
need to know the brokerage partner, right? Because we're not looking for quantity, we're looking for quality. There's a huge difference in quality. And then what we do is, if you're a partner there, we have a list of everything we do. So we'll do all the repair coordination, leasing coordination, self-guided tour technology, which most of them pick up. We implement all of that for them. We'll do all the rent collection online. They don't have to hold the rent. We send it directly to the owner's bank account, cut out their management fee. We
Mm.
optimize their process. And then after we do that, we say, great, you're the one who's building the relationships on the ground with the owners. You're going to go ahead and basically do everything there. And we are going to just be your brokerage or your partner. on like the managed service plus technology side for property management. And then
Mm,
they don't have to think about, oh gosh, I need to use Appfolio plus, Show Mojo for showings plus, I don't know, like rent prep or whatever for
mm.
applications. Like I've just got one system. This is my tech stack and I'm good to go. And it simplifies it for them, but it also helps them build their business both on the buy sell side as well as on the property management side without having to worry about the day to day.
Wow. So we have a lot of real estate advisors, agents, and brokerages all across the United States that tune in and listen to this, actually all across the world. And I mean, I think that, like you said, there's the whole tech stack, and this is providing value in your marketplace, which I think only helps you as an advisor stand out from everybody else, right? And that's huge. We're always looking for that edge. We're always looking to provide value, and this is why we have Dana with Hemlane on today to talk about their property management software for the landlords, and really a great way to save money and make more money and do things seamless and efficiently. So that's fantastic. You can actually, if you're listening to this podcast right now, we are going to have an affiliate link on our website and everywhere where you see this podcast. You can go ahead and click that and check out Hemlane. So, Dana, let's talk about the do it yourself versus the delegation. Okay. I couldn't wait to ask you this question. I love how transparent you were already in leading up to this interview. And I think that's the difference between a great business person and an average business person, is just the people that hit it dead on and they just answer things direct. I love that. So do it yourself versus delegation. What are the downfalls of a landlord managing their own property, okay, with this software compared to hiring a professional property manager?
There's not a lot of downsides except for do you want to be the key decision maker?
Mm-hmm.
And with decisions, I mean, both the software, but also the service, like your rental assistant will make it where it's shouldn't be emotional.
Yeah.
But if you are an owner who wants to DIY and you aren't like responsive, so let's just say there's a repair that's $1,000 and it's something to do with like an HVAC that needs to be nearly fully replaced and it's 110 degrees outside, the tenant
Like
needs
today.
AC and you're not there to approve it. Well, that could actually hurt you in the end, because the tenant is going to get upset. They're going to ask for rent rebates, all sorts of different things to accommodate
Sure.
it. And so I think that if you want to be DIY, you just need to make sure that you are the one there for decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you have to know how to make sure that you have the right team in place. So local support, if you are not physically there, you can use our network of vetted service professionals. But who's going to go ahead and install the lockbox for us? Do you want to use a handyman or not? Who's going to be driving by the property for certain things? Do you want to use our inspectors who do drive-bys or not? So I think there's a lot of questions there for an owner that they just need to themselves make sure, if they're not physically like locally there, how they want to do it. As long as you follow the process, you should be fine with it. But I found some folks say they're going to self-manage and think, oh, I just won't respond to messages or I won't be on top of things. And it always comes to cost more money in the end.
Sure.
And so in those particular cases, I say, yeah, you need to do more full service packages. You need a broker on the ground who's going to be preparing that lease agreement. If you can't put it together within 24 hours using our templates, it's a click of a button, but still you need to be somewhat available. And so I think that's the biggest one. And again, it's more of a personal choice and who you are versus who we are to make that decision for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can say, dealing with several property managers, that there's very few that actually get most of the aspects right. So
Yeah.
I can see how really, there's a couple. There's one in our marketplace that does it very well. They've been franchising all over the country, but outside of that, and maybe one other or two other locally, I'm just thinking about all this, and then I'm thinking about the landlords. Now, what about that landlord that wants to be discreet, that doesn't want any, like with me, like I don't want to ever really interact with my clients simply because my tenants, my clients, right?
Yeah.
Simply because I'm the guy that's like, oh, you're late on your rent. Okay, I'll give you another month. Like I could
Yeah.
be a bulldog in business, right? But when it comes to people's housing, I could be a little bit of a pushover in that aspect. And that's like I'm being a little vulnerable here, but that's why I have a property management company handle it so that they're the in between. What is somebody like me that wants to be discreet and doesn't want to have to deal with that and tell people no? What do they do with Hemlane?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it is pretty discreet for you, especially if you have the property under an LLC, and you're just a managing member of it. They don't really know who you are. You sign the lease as a managing member. But other than that, like repair coordination and your rental assistant, you can just hide from the tenants and say, here's exactly how I want this handled, or
Got it.
set up the pre dispatch instructions of here's how I want things handled. And then it does become pretty passive to you. We only call you if it's above your threshold to get approval on it. Otherwise, it's going through the process. So most things would be pretty relaxed for you from the day-to-day perspective. It's just if you need to approve something or make a decision. We're a technology company, so we can't make those decisions on your behalf,
Hmm.
but the technology can streamline everything and execute for you. And you'll have a dedicated repair coordinator, a dedicated rental assistant who will be talking to the tenant and picking up the call and letting them know when the service
Wow.
professional's coming out and doing the troubleshooting. So for the most part, you're not talking to the tenant every day or having to do that type of work.
Wow, that's great. That's good to know. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners were curious about that too. So let's talk about some technological innovations, right? So, what role does technology play in enhancing the landlord tenant relationship through Hemley? I think you touched on it a little while ago, but take it away.
So, enhancing that relationship, I think it's that professionalism. You always forget everything. So, what I mean by that is you forget that utilities need to be transferred to the tenant's name. You forget that before move in. You forget that they should all have renter's insurance and you should verify that they have renter's insurance and all these
Mm,
things that mitigate risk. And that's where then technology is just going to streamline and do that for you so that the chances of something escalating or something going wrong are so minimum and so
wow.
low. Yeah.
I love that. How many marketplaces are you in with Hemlane, Dana?
So we're in all 50 states. You
Love
can
it.
use the technology anywhere. And then as far as the local on ground support, typically as a rule of thumb, if the city is over 100,000 in population, we'll be able to service it.
Okay, got it, got it. So, can you tell us how many subscribers you actively have using your software?
Yeah. So we have 30,000 rentals using the day-to-day services and
It's
hundreds of
amazing.
thousands of rentals that just use the software part of it. So in
Wow.
other words, they're not using a repair coordinator or they're not using a rental assistant.
Yeah.
And I think that makes us the largest for the retail investor. So for the retail investor, we are the largest operator out there.
Wow, that's amazing. Very good. So let's talk about some regulatory navigation. So, how does Hemlane assist landlords in staying compliant with the varying state and local rental regulations?
Great question. Those are always changing. It's not just state level, right? It's county level. So that makes it really, really challenging. For us, as far as regulations and what we do there, we go ahead and we have templates and app for leases, everything at the county level to state level. Now, there may be something certain about your property where you have to adjust those templates, but for the most part, they'll be able to help streamline things for you and get you something pretty concrete there. Then we'll be sending reminders even up to 90 days beforehand of lease renewals. Hey, you need to get this renewed. You need to over communicate to tenants. Like, don't wait until 30 days before the lease is ready for renewal to go ahead and send something out. So we'll be going through all of that for you. And then everything from, for example, with repair coordination, if a tenant puts in a request and it's like, I have mold, well, it's not mold until it's been tested to be mold. It's organic growth.
That's
And
right.
so really making sure we're working through and asking the right questions and things like that.
Fantastic. I like that you have all these bases covered. I haven't been able to stump you with any questions yet. I mean, it's not my goal, but it happens sometimes. And if you're just tuning in now, this is the Wealth Architect podcast. I'm Emilio Despirito, and we've got a very special guest here with us today. We have Dana Dunford, and she is with Hemlane. This is a wonderful company that helps landlords seamlessly deliver great service to their tenants while through a software, while handling every last aspect of owning and running properties, right? Because, time is your biggest and least amount of resource, if that makes any sense. And really, it's fleeting, right? So we need as much of it as we can get. So if you have something that can help you with your time and help you make more money while making your life easier, that's Hemlane. And you can go ahead and check them out in our affiliate links on our website, thewealtharchitect-podcast.com, or our Instagram, or anywhere else you're finding this podcast. So Dana, we got to wrap up, but let me ask you a last question here. What do you see? So this is the future of property management. Where do you see the property management industry heading in the next 5 years, and how is Hemlane preparing for it?
One, I think regulations are just going to continue. It's going to get more complex to manage your rental property. I'm hoping that changes, but how legislation works, I don't think it will. And so I think we're headed to a future that the players who win are the ones who help mitigate that risk and understand that legislation and streamline everything in the safest way for their clients. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second is more and more people will be purchasing real estate that's not in their backyard and looking for more transparent ways to manage it.
Got it. Good stuff. Well, Dana, thank you so much. Again, Dana Dunford with Hemlane property management software. They're fantastic. Check them out. You can Google them, or you can follow any of our pages and see their affiliate link there. Dana, thanks so much for joining us on The Wealth Architect.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Have you ever heard of upfront underwriting? Well, I haven't until I started working with Movement Mortgage. Movement Mortgage is one of the top loan originators around the country. Specifically, I want to give a thank you to Matt Bates. And if you're lucky enough to live in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, or New Hampshire, I strongly suggest you contact Matt Bates at rimortgageguy.com. Again, rimortgageguy.com. And he's going to help you to find that dream home. He does upfront underwriting, which means they fully approve you for a mortgage before you even place offers, increasing your chances of winning that dream home. rimortgageguy.com. All right, episode number 13, segment 2 of The Wealth Architect. I'm excited here because I get an opportunity to connect with our listeners and our viewers from all over the United States and the globe. So thank you so much. We have some questions that have been coming in after our previous shows, and I'm going to go ahead and answer these questions for you. If you have any questions you'd like to send my way, for the next opportunity that I can answer them on air like this, please do connect with us on Instagram at Wealth Architect Podcast. Send your messages over there, and I'll get those answered for you. Awesome. Let's see. What do we got? Thank you very much. All right. This is going to be fun. I've never seen these questions. What is one decision you made early in your career that completely changed your financial trajectory? And this came in from Brianna in Miami. Thank you, Brianna. One decision that I've made that has changed my career, I would say just simply going through with getting my real estate license, because as a real estate advisor, I see and hear about deals before they even hit the marketplace, which is really great. So I can in turn either, build out a team of investors that I could work with, or I could personally invest in properties, flip properties. So there's so many different options that come along with being tied into the real estate community and actually getting that first kind of experience. So I hope that answered your question, but for me, that's what it was. All right, so our next question comes in from Jason from Boise, Idaho. What's up, Jason? I've got decent equity in my home. Should I tap into it to invest, or is that a dangerous move right now with rates where they are? Okay, so first off, Jason, I don't know if you are addicted to drugs, alcohol, gambling, or anything outside of something that is good for you. And if you are, or if you have an addictive personality where you've never been able to manage money, don't touch the equity in your home, because that could definitely impact your family. However, or yourself. However, if you are smart with your money and you're savvy with it, I would suggest to take a HELOC, a home line of equity out. Forget about the rates. It doesn't matter because if this is your principal residence and if you use the money from your HELOC to do anything with real estate, and again, check with your CPA on this. I'm not a CPA, but I do believe that that interest rate and the little amount that you pay on the money you take out is a tax write-off. Okay. So I would say, Jason, if I was you, I would take a HELOC out on my house and I would take that money and go put it on a down payment on a rental type of property that could give me passive income and long-term wealth. If you're a little bit more in for the risk, if you'd like to take more of a risk, you could go buy and flip properties with that money. And instead of borrowing private money, which often has much higher interest rates and points up front, you're really only paying yourself back with an interest rate you can write off and money you can pop right back in. So I love the home line of equity, Jason, because that money is literally like it's equity. It's just sitting there in bricks and mortar in your home doing nothing. You could put that to work for you and build massive wealth. We've got another question from Nate from Columbus, Ohio. What is up, Columbus, Ohio? I make good money, but I'm stuck in the high income, no assets trap. What's the mindset shift I need to start actually building wealth? Be okay with taking risk. Now, Nate, if you are a 65-year-old man getting ready to retire, you might want to be less risk adverse or more risk adverse. I'm sorry. You might want to go with like, talk with a financial advisor and throw your money in like the S&P or something, right? Like that is totally not my level of expertise, but I would say go with something that is tried and true and maybe long term, much safer. But if you're a younger guy, right, I would say if you're, 18 to maybe 50, my suggestion would be to invest in real estate, right? Or invest in businesses. Like, why not try to buy a business where you could be a silent partner that's already making money? There's a lot that goes into that. You need to understand how to read profit and losses and income statements and all that other jazz. And you need to be able to trust whoever you're in business with. But there are so many opportunities like buying a business or purchasing real estate or anything like that. Again, if you want to take a more conservative route, you can do a REIT, a real estate investment trust, or you can get involved with some syndications. But definitely Google all of those and see what fits you and your mindset best. We got another question in here. What daily or weekly habits have made the biggest impact on your financial success? And this came in from Tina in Austin, Texas. Tina, so daily or weekly habits, I would say the first and most important thing I do every single day when I wake up is I thank God for everything He's given me and for the opportunity to just be alive and to breathe. Okay. That's huge. Don't take that for granted. Everything we have in front of us here today could be gone tomorrow. That's first and foremost. The other thing, too, is I've realized over the past couple of years that it's so important that we take care of our bodies because we can't build wealth if we're not physically present and physically healthy to be there, right? And in addition to that, Tina, I don't know if you have a son or a daughter, but with me, I don't want my son to look at me and see a fat slob. So I was literally like getting overweight. And what I did was I was like, I don't want to feel like crap anymore. I don't want to look like crap anymore. And some might argue and say, Emilio, you still look like crap. That's fine, but I feel good. Okay. I feel good. And ultimately, my physical health is better than it was in my 20s. I've cut out drinking, cut out smoking. I've cut out all of those things that are adverse to my health. I still eat too much pasta and bread, but ultimately, take care of your physical health as well. And the wealth is going to follow. I can promise you there. So start with that. You got to start with that and wake up early. Wake up earlier than everybody else and give yourself time to focus on you, Tina. Okay. It's so important. And start there and let me know how you make out and we can walk you through the next steps after that. Next question. Wow. From Samuel out in San Francisco, California. How do you protect your energy and focus while building wealth mentally, spiritually, and physically? Samuel, that's a great question. And I love that you asked that about spiritually and physically and mentally as well. And just in addition to financial, because Protecting your energy is number one. You need to be okay with saying no. So if your friends want to go out on a Monday or Tuesday night and go out drinking, you got to say either no, or you got to say no to those drinks, because guess what? You're going to wake up that next day feeling like absolute trash. Maybe not so much if you're in your 20s, right? But as you get into your 30s and 40s, recovery time is tough, and you're really starting from zero, and everything is compounding in what you do. So really focus on how you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, and that circle of people. And be around the 5 people or the 10 people or whatever you say, your family, your friends, whoever, that's going to help lift you up, right? Don't be around those people that are telling you you can't do this, that, whatever else, because it's like the line from Pursuit of Happiness. That movie always brings tears to my face, where Will Smith says to his son, basically, I'll slaughter the line, but he basically said something along the lines is, don't listen to people that say you can't do it, because they're talking to you as if you were them, right? So you can never take advice from people that don't believe they can do it themselves. Surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up spiritually, mentally, and physically, and hang out with those types of people. Thank you, Samuel. Our next question is coming in from Tasha from Phoenix, Arizona. What is up, Tasha? Thanks for listening. Is real estate still the best vehicle for wealth, or are we just sold on that dream? Be real. What would you do with 250K today? Well, Tasha, I am going to be real with you. You can't even buy a trailer for 250,000 in most places in the United States. So if you got 250K, I would say you need to either without knowing anything about you, Tasha, or your experience or what you bring to the table, I would say you need to invest in maybe a syndication, or a business, or something that is already tried and true, or you believe that could grow legs and could do very well. That's risky, but I think it could have your biggest upside. If you have the 250K and you want to flip a house as well too, I think flipping homes can be pretty profitable, but you need to make sure that you've got the right real estate team behind you to offer you the kind of guidance you need to be able to level up. And don't forget, you're going to get hit with capital gains when you pull the money out, as well, from that sale, if you make any money on it. So that's a tough question to answer without really knowing much about you. But I hope that information was helpful. And be real. Are you kidding me? When am I not real, Tasha? Thank you. Elijah from Charlestown, South Carolina. How do you build wealth when you've got kids, a mortgage, and barely any time to breathe? Let alone start a side hustle. All right. Well, with that attitude, Elijah, you're already setting yourself up for failure. You're going to tell me you don't have time. Shut the damn TV off. Or how long are you on social media? Maybe take time away from being on Instagram and scrolling on there, and put that time into reading or doing something constructive. I don't buy into anybody saying I don't have time. Life is what you make time for, and whatever you spend time on, it's just going to compound. I think it's something along the lines, if you just spent, I don't know exactly, you could Google this, but if you spend something like 10 minutes a day on anything, you're going to be better than 95% of the world after a year of just spending 10 minutes a day. It might even be 8 minutes a day. So I don't find that doing anything, a side hustle or anything like that, is really hard. You just got to set your mind to it and know you can achieve and do it. And I would say something great for you to do would be to start with this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Check this out, because there was a time where my mindset sucked, and you could tell people's mindsets by their questions, right? And my mindset kind of sucked. And this was the first book I read front to back. I was 27 years old. I used to hate books. Now you can see them all around me. And I just fill my brain full of knowledge from fantastic people, and ideas from their books. And this book is a game changer, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So that's all we got for time today for these questions. Please send in your questions. Feel free, let us know what you think about the podcast. Has it helped you? Has it helped somebody you know? What content do you want us to cover? We love hearing from you. Go ahead again at Wealth Architect Podcast on Instagram. Check us out and leave us a message there. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Emilio Despirito signing out.